Hey everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, and that is Caleb. And guys, girls, ladies, and gentlemen, it was a tough week for Husker Nation. This was not what we wanted to see, man. I think we all came in pretty confident about the Illinois game, and a lot of things went wrong, about as wrong as you can go. Obviously, from the first play, it was going the wrong direction. So we got a lot to talk about today. Caleb, how you doing? Probably not as good as last week, I'd imagine.
No, it's definitely not the excitement. That was probably, I think for a lot of people, one of the more painful Husker games in recent memory, and that's pretty tough to do.
There's a lot of them. It's a stacked list right there.
But that one, just being, 17-point favorites to just getting blown out in the fashion that we did, and just getting outclassed in football on all ends of the field. It was pretty tough to stomach most of the time. And our offense, when it seemed like we could maybe get a spark going, our defense just said, walk right through Illinois. I mean, please score these points.
Oh, my word.
So
I know, it's just like the fact that we came off of like a game where we felt like maybe our defense is decent. Maybe it's like, at least middle of the road. And then Illinois comes out and bullies us on both sides, both lines, offensively and defensively. It was a tough game to stomach. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the Nebraska-Illinois game and some of the takeaways that we have moving into the Iowa game and what we learned from this. Of course, first of all, happy Thanksgiving, of course. And we're recording this with a little bit less edits than normal because we have a tough schedule this week when it comes to Thanksgiving and holidays and everything else. So I hope you guys enjoy a little bit unedited version of us moving forward. But, Caleb, what are your takeaways from this game, the Illinois game? What do you notice? Let's start on the offensive side for Nebraska. What went wrong for us, man? The turnovers obviously are the highlight, but third downs, yikes.
Yeah, I think the worst part is we were putting ourselves just in really poor positions. I'd say our first down plays were very lackluster. I felt like we were doing the same run play out to the edge that wasn't working. I felt like 3 or 4 times with Marvin Scott, and it wasn't until Wan'Dale really got involved in the backfield that I felt like our offense was moving. We just really need him back there, to be honest. Without Dedrick Mills, we just don't have any threat, and I think he's our most dangerous player on that offense besides whatever quarterback's playing. So it's just pain. It was just not good, and obviously the snaps. There was a couple mishandled snaps, and then some sacks, and then we were just having to gamble for it. Which I don't know if we had to early in the game, but we were just like, this is Illinois. We shouldn't be losing. So we took some 4th down gambles. And, we're really digging ourselves into a hole in a lot of different ways. Obviously, you're confident in your team, but at the same time, it's like we need to take the points. And then penalties. I mean, it's been the Achilles heel of Nebraska offenses forever. My. Holding, just everything.
7.2 per game at this point, 102nd in the country. Thank you. A Nebraska special there. I mean, this game just felt like a Nebraska special. I mean, when it came to literally, like you said, the penalties, the turnovers, third down conversions, just everything across the board was just bad. And it just hurt. I mean, currently on third down, we are 111th in the country on third down conversions, only 32% per game.
It's just because we're third and long. It's not 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. It is 3rd, 8, 9, 10, 11, 18. How many 3rd and 18s has Luke pretty much picked up with his legs this year? Because we're just in bad positions because, a sack or a fumble. Miscommunication. There was some dropped passes. And, the picks, there was one. There was the bad throw in the second half.
A really bad throw on the sideline, down the sideline. Our basically only real shot downfield besides, near the end of the game. And
Luke
that was a bad throw.
He just short arms it. If he just throws it longer, it's a touchdown. If he just throws it toward the end zone.
Puts another 7 to 10 yards farther downfield, that's a touchdown for sure. But
yeah,
that was, I agree. I guess that we can talk quarterback situation, off the rip. Just, it's not as serious as it was before. I think we both assumed Luke's going to be the starter still.
Yeah.
Though, Scott did have some nice words for Adrian in the press conferences. And, he talks it up still as a QB battle, which, maybe it is in their mind still at this point. It's possible it is. But I think we both expect Adrian to be starting forward. I do agree with you that Luke, I'm sorry.
No,
Luke, but Luke, I do agree with you in the sense that Luke didn't play as bad of a game as the stats show. I mean, he had some inaccuracy issues, and there was a few plays there where like he put the ball up high, and he definitely had some mustard on some throws that didn't need the mustard. Why is there so much mustard? Yo, Luke, calm down.
But not the Adrian. I can't throw a 2-yard pass.
True.
Oof.
I mean, Adrian,
Oof.
I'm gonna let every single one of my receivers get absolutely decked every time they catch it.
Let's injure Wan'Dale with a minute left in this game. Just hang him out to dry.
Dude, literally. So that's terrifying. But I mean, at the end of the day, the turnovers weren't as bad as it made it out to be in that second half. You have to throw the ball downfield. And unfortunately, Luke made a bad throw. I do agree that there were moments, and that first drive, Luke, my word.
Fumble.
I'm so confused.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Well, so the first drive after the turnover. So really, our first real drive of the game looked really, really good. The whole offense moved well. We seemed to be blocking well, winning the battle up front. Luke was making the right reads, had some really nice runs, even some nice throws. It was looking good. And then it all went downhill after that. The offensive line seemed confused, and that might be with the moving around of the pieces up front because of the injuries we've had. Cam Jurgens had some bad snaps. Overall, it just was a mess and felt like we weren't prepared at all for this game. And that was something that was talked about in the press conferences.
I mean, that's what blows my mind is the coaching staff, everybody. How can you just have amnesia from the last 3 years to not prepare?
We won a game.
Has 4-8,
celebrate.
5-7, and 4-8. That just escaped your mind after one barely holding on to the win.
Against a winless team.
Come on. Every game is so important. You have so few games. We've talked about how excited we were to play football, and we wake up at 11 a.m. at Memorial Stadium, everybody just is still asleep. It was just so frustrating. That game was so important. And if we would have prepared the way that I think we should have, because it felt like Illinois was excited to play. They won their game, and you know what? They followed that up, and they just kept it rolling. In Nebraska, we won our one game. It's we're good. Let's pack it up. See you next year.
I know. It's crazy.
What the heck?
That blew
embarrassing.
My mind. So overall, offensively, takeaways. We have to see a more consistent offensive line. On the year, the offensive line has been decent.
A lot better than last year.
A lot better than last year for sure, but not where we need it to be to beat great teams, really. And so, that's a big focus moving forward, is seeing some consistency on the offensive line. And again, the turnovers are just such a big problem. We're 121st in turnovers in the country, 2.5 per game. Yikes. Classic Nebraska. With our pass and fumble recoveries when it comes to recovering our own fumbles, recovering other teams' fumbles. We couldn't do it. We lost every battle for a fumble in this game. How in the world?
That would just drove me insane. So we have the lateral pass, and then literally after that first and 5, they fumble the ball. Peters just fumbles it, and none of our guys jump on it. We just look at the ball. We just stare at it.
There was that one, and then there was the playing 500 one where every player, it was like a jump ball. It was like a jump ball Hail Mary type play, but it's a fumble, and we should have had it. It was just crazy.
No hustle.
Yeah, no, it's tough. So offensively as a whole, we have to see so many improvements on the offensive line. Our receivers still, that nobody felt like they were really standing out. Again, Wan'Dale was the only guy that felt like, all right, he can move the ball for us. Besides that, we need to see a lot of improvement at wide receiver, offensive line, and from our quarterback play as a whole if we want to start moving the ball on anyone the rest of this year. So defensively, thoughts on this defense? We thought we had something here with this team a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
They get their black shirts. We play in our dope alternate unis.
So
and
cool.
Holy cow, this was horrible.
Yeah, it just... Our defense, we had been creating turnovers, and that had been really exciting and really important to our defense and to our offense. Is we were just giving our offense some really good short field position, and that was really the difference in the game for Penn State. And you know what made the Northwestern game close too. So yeah, and then just for us not to have a single turnover on an Illinois team, which we felt again was fumble prone, and if we just pick up one of those fumbles, it's a different game, but we didn't, and our defense just. I'd say our defensive line was the real struggle for us.
Sure. Up front.
Yeah, just on that big run play that was a touchdown, it just felt like they were in the wrong spot. We got no pressure, no push, and the Illinois offensive line really took the challenge, and they just dominated us. Just dominated the whole front seven.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was the horribly unfortunate Colin Miller injury, which it sounds like he's good to go now, and that's great because Frost said he was at practice. He's going to come with the team, so apparently he's good to go when it comes to being mobile, but not good enough to play.
Being alive, yeah.
So he's probably not going to play the rest of the season, which, I mean, on a human-to-human level was a horrible injury. For our team, the unfortunate thing, though, for our team, that, literally that touchdown, or the near touchdown where Cam Taylor got hurt on, the 40-yard play that Chase Brown had in that first half, I mean, that play was targeted at Colin Miller. I mean, he was the one player up front that was not blocked on that play. They targeted him to force him to make an open field play, and he couldn't get there. And
Penn State did a similar thing.
And Penn State was doing the same thing against us. So it's teams are seeing that, unfortunately, Colin Miller was a weakness spot for us athletically in the middle of the field. And so in a sense, I think there's a world where, at least athletically, when it comes from stretching the field from sideline to sideline, it's not going to hurt having the backup player in there, I think, defensively for us. So, I mean, he's a leader, and he definitely is for the locker room. But when it comes to the football on the field, I think our next guy up mentality should be in a good spot for us defensively as a whole. So,
yeah, I mean, he played a good game against Northwestern, which
he did, which we gave him props.
No speed talent, and then Illinois had some, and that was the real difference. So
yeah, I mean, we were worried about Isaiah Williams coming in at quarterback and making the plays on the ground. But what happened is that Brandon Peters was doing his best NFL impression and looked great. And
I mean,
we hadn't seen him
plays.
We hadn't seen him since the Wisconsin game, but he looked great.
Yeah, I mean, he looked refreshed and ready to go, and was making some great throws. And you know what? Just picked our defensive part. He had some great run plays again, which were any quarterback that can move their legs whatsoever
if you have legs.
If you have legs, it's a bad sign against Nebraska. So it's frustrating. But yeah, our defense, it felt like that was the biggest regression. I felt like our offense,
no pressure at all.
Our offense was our offense. It's inconsistent. It turnovers, has some bright spots. I felt like that was pretty straightforward. That's what we got from our offense with the Frost era. Can't score that many points. Just Jekyll and Hyde. But our defense, which looked like it had improved, really felt like it took the biggest step backwards.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a big part of that was that because our front three or front four when we were rushing four wasn't winning the battle on our own, we had to debate as a defensively, do we bring pressure? Do we dial it up? But we were scared of Brandon Peters throwing the ball across the middle of the field. And so we weren't willing to dial up the pressure, and we just had nothing there. And Peters was just picking us apart. That was tough. I mean, I compared him to an aging Joe Flacco. He looked like if Joe Flacco now, currently as of today, was playing quarterback for Illinois. He was just kind of standing there, moving his feet a little bit, just kind of picking us apart slowly but surely. I thought that was really interesting. So, we just got to figure out a way to get teams off the field on third down. I mean, we are getting picked apart on third down at this point. Currently, we're 128th in opponents' third down conversions per game. They're converting 8.5 third downs per game on us, which is 128th in the country.
Oof.
And then the percentage is 124th. So we're at 53.97%. Yikes. It's so bad. And we're allowing 4.7 yards per carry, which is 91st in the country. So those defensive stats not looking good for us. And those are stats where Iowa as an offense is their biggest strength. Woo! Is running the ball, especially in short yardage. So that gets me nervous. So let's move in to kind of how we feel about this Iowa team. Where are you at with this team and how they match up against Nebraska?
I mean, again, the first thing that we saw, it was nice having that Penn State game so we could have a direct comparison, especially back-to-back weeks.
State. Yeah, very interesting.
And, man, their offensive line just looked great. They made me miss the fullback position because he just would make some hits, and both of their running backs, Goodson and Sargent, looked really nice and just a different changeup for them. And man, their blocking just looked amazing. What I wouldn't give to have our offensive linemen be able to pull, linemen and make blocks and just make it look like the play is actually supposed to be designed. It's nice seeing a play and be like, oh, that's what they're supposed to do, and it being executed. With Nebraska, we're just guessing, like, was that right? I'm not sure. Did our player just make a good play? They just looked so much more clean and professional and just well executed and practiced.
Yeah, man, I gotta say I'm a little bit worried. So Iowa, I mean, they've really got to wish they had that Northwestern game back, because they lost to Purdue at Purdue in a 24-20 loss at the beginning of the year. Then they lost 21-20 in a totally tight game to Northwestern. And if they would have won that game, they would currently be in the lead in the West. And Wisconsin, now because of their canceled game this weekend, is eliminated from Big Ten contention. So it's now a battle between basically Iowa and Northwestern and Purdue, I guess, for the Big Ten West. And man, I bet they wish they had that game back. But after starting 0-2, they've ripped off 3 straight pretty dominant wins. A dominant win against Michigan State, a dominant win against Minnesota at Minnesota, and a dominant win, somewhat dominant win against Penn State, all things considered. Penn State turned the ball over a lot in that game. They struggled to hang on to it.
Us.
Yeah, and just a big-time problem for them. So, I mean, it just scares me. Their offense is insane on 3rd and 4th and short. They're currently converting on 92.3% of 3rd and 4th and under 2, which is 7th in the country, where rushing the ball on 1st and 2nd down, they're like mediocre. They're like in the 50s, especially with their offensive line performance. Like Nebraska is actually currently ranking in like in the mid 40s in offensive line performance across the board in yards attributed to the offensive line and in rushing and passing actually. But on short plays, we're not good, whereas Iowa is very good. And defensively, we are very bad on 3rd and short already on the year, and we're playing against a team who's incredible on 3rd and short. So that is something we're going to talk more about probably in the keys to the game. Yes. But that is something to look out for moving forward.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that's just a matchup nightmare. And then Sam Laporta is just a great tight end for them. You just saw him make a lot of really nice athletic catches, plowing over defenders, and just something that Nebraska has shown, even last week too against Illinois, that we are weak against defending the tight end, and they're gonna target him, and he's gonna look very nice. So they pose a lot of challenges, and they just, again, like Josh said, there's just a lot of weaknesses that they just really attack, and it feels like those 3rd and shorts that's everything. So.
Right, yeah, I agree. Mekhi Sargent and Tyler Goodson have looked really good for him, which, again, we were questioning whether this backfield would have success considering we didn't know how this was going to play this year for Iowa and how the offensive line, and we were right about their offensive line taking a step back, which they definitely have, but in the past few games playing against, definitely more subpar opponents at this point in the Big Ten when it comes to Michigan State, Minnesota, who's getting destroyed on the ground this season.
Last in the country.
And Penn State, and Penn State. So, it is a little bit tough to figure out exactly where Iowa is because I think they've seen massive improvement since the first 2 weeks. Yeah. But, I mean, we have a lot to overcome in this game. Defensively, Iowa does what they need to do, but I don't think they do anything too special. I mean, Penn State had some chances downfield, but their QBs, for the most part, missed them. Until they finally hit Dotson in the second half for a big touchdown. But besides that, Iowa's given up on 3rd down. They've been susceptible. They're giving up 7.4 3rd downs per game, 111th in the country, which again, per game, that's a little bit different of a stat, but they are very good at stopping the run. They're 8th in the country in opponents' yards per rush, yards per carry. So that is something
which will
that
pose
Nebraska's
a really
have to figure out a way
fun
to
thing.
attack.
I think that's what I'm most excited to see is, that's Nebraska's been their bread and butter. So they've seemed really good just watching their film in stopping the quarterback run. They're really disciplined. They have a spy for it. And man, does that linebacker usually make the play. So I think that's going to be really fun to see with probably Luke this week. I can't wait to watch that matchup because they're only getting 5-6 yards where Luke's been averaging on those nice quarterback draws you can get 10, 11, 15. So I think it's going to be a really fun matchup to see with them, and just they're going to be really tested in that strength this week.
Yeah, that's the thing for me, man. It gets me worried with the weapons they have. Of course, Smith Marset, he's kind of like their athletic playmaker on the outside. He returned a touchdown against us last year, which really put that game out of reach, or just really put a big turning point in the game for the game last year. So that is something to look out for. I mean,
Petrus he's human. He's definitely a very human quarterback.
Yes.
They can make turnovers. Not his throws were all that accurate. Just like Josh and I kind of, alluded to at the beginning of the season, he's a young quarterback.
He's an Iowa quarterback. This is what they do, though.
Yeah.
Like, they just throw the ball short on first and second down. They don't take risks. They don't turn the ball over very much. And then on third down, when it's 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4, they throw it to a tight end on a little curl route, and voila, there's your first down. Like, this is what Iowa does. And so we have to figure out a way to scheme that out. JoJo Domann is going to be interesting. Got to look out for, and how he's going to play in the middle of the field there. I don't know, man. I want to move to the keys of the game, because we're going to talk about probably a lot about those X factors there. So
yeah,
let's move on to the keys of the game, or I guess the game preview as a whole. So Iowa is 13.5 point favorites. That's tough, man, because we were 15-point favorites against Illinois last week. Now we're 13.5 point underdogs against Iowa. It's a 53.5 point over under. Not ideal.
Yeah.
Not ideal. A surprising amount of points for a Nebraska-Iowa game, honestly, with how both of our teams are going right now. What comes to mind for you in this game? Offensively for us, Dedrick Mills is questionable to play. It sounds like he probably will play, maybe limited snaps and swapping with Wan'Dale a little bit and Scott the third.
Yeah.
Where are you at this game? What are the keys to the game for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wan'Dale has to be the starting running back at this point. I know it stinks, and he wants to be wide receiver and everything like that. And yeah, he had that fumble, but man, he's our best running back. He's just such a threat. We need him to be able to touch the ball 10, 15, 20 times a game. It just, for our team to win games, it's apparent that's our way to win games. So that's, I think, the first glaring obvious thing to say.
Agreed. I mean, he had 13 touches in this game. He averaged 8.6 yards per carry. Chef's kiss. And he had 6 receptions for 60 yards, so 10 a reception, pretty solid as well.
Perfect.
I mean, he's our playmaker. That's what we need. 13 plus. We've been screaming it for years now, 2 years. Get Wan'Dale 10 plus touches every single game. It has to happen. And I'm hoping it happens this time. Hopefully, Frost is starting to figure that one out. I don't know why he seems so hesitant to scheme Wan'Dale into just touches after touch when it comes to end arounds or sweeps or carries in the backfield or whatever it is. Get this guy the ball, man. He can make plays, and we saw it happen. Yeah.
I
100% agree with that. But obviously, a key to this game, an X factor to watch out for, is the battle up front on both sides of the ball, especially on the interior, which is something that we have really struggled with this season, especially. I mean, when it comes to like Cam Jurgens and Matt Farniok and how they play on the inside, it has not been great. And generally, we found our success running through the guard and tackle gaps or on the outside. We have not found success running, up the middle or inside the one gap or anything like that. So that is something to watch out for. Defensively, agreed. I mean, like, the interior pass rush has not existed for us for probably now 6 straight quarters since the second half of the Penn State game where we almost blew the lead. So on both sides of the ball, if we're not winning those battles, we're not going to win this game, and it's going to get ugly quick, especially.
Yeah, I'd like to see some pressure from our defensive line. It looked so good in those first games, and whatever happened or pressure, the things that we had schemed up really isn't working. We have to go back to the drawing board, and that's so important for us. Besides that Will Honas sack, there was nothing. We were not getting tackles for losses. We're just getting shoved around. And Iowa's going to be a lot better. So hopefully we throw the playbook at them. We give them some things and some things that work for us. I think we have to be able to throw the ball downfield. We've said this now for a few games, and we have not been able to do it yet,
man. Especially against this team.
If we close the field down, and if we make this just a short game with short yardages, and we let the defense collapse in on us, stack the box, there's no way we're going to win this game or move the ball. There's just
literally, there's no way.
They're going to suffocate us.
In the second half, Penn State dialed in on that immediately. Like
they suffocate us. We scored 3 points.
Exactly. They were playing single high safety, less than 10 yards off the line. Their safety was like 9 yards off the line of scrimmage, and we're still running the ball. Single high safety, 9 yards off the line of scrimmage. That's insane. So that's somewhere where Frost, I feel like, has to identify that and trust Luke to take at least a few shots. And maybe that's a lack of trust in our wide receivers to make plays. Maybe it's a lack of trust in our offensive line to protect Luke at all. But like at some point, we have to start opening up the field, or 100% Iowa is going to suffocate us at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to average like 2 yards per carry, and it's going to be terrible, and we're not going to get any points on the board. So
yeah,
hopefully in the first half, we're willing to take some shots so that they're not suffocating us from the beginning. We fall behind. Our drives are stalling from the beginning. Hopefully we can figure out something early, and I 100% agree with you. That's a key to the game for sure. So I think the other thing to consider is, the second half is how Iowa likes to win games. They like to grind you out in the first half, maybe have a slight lead at halftime, or, a tie game at halftime. And then the second half, you're beaten down, you're tired. And in the third quarter, we don't know what that is as Husker fans. What's a third quarter?
Do we score points that quarter? I thought we can't. I thought there's a rule that said no Huskers, no score points.
No points for us. But this is terrible. And then Iowa looks to take the lead in the third, put you away in the fourth, and force turnovers when you're trying to get desperate. And that's how they like to win games. So when it comes to like that second half, we have to assume something like that's going to happen, be ready for it, and hopefully we can keep guys fresh enough where we're not getting beat down like that in the second half. But, that's an area where we struggle. We don't have a lot of depth there, especially in the linebacking core. Up front, not too much depth either. We rotate in a handful of guys, but that gets me worried. And that's an X factor I think that Iowa can definitely take advantage of in the second half.
Yeah, and last, I think it's defensive discipline. I know that's just a thing that Nebraska is allergic to, which is discipline.
Discipline as a whole, penalties, yeah.
Yeah, we're just, trusting your teammates, trusting yourself, doing your job, being in the right spot, something that just hasn't been the case. The Nebraska team that we've seen for the last however many years now, it's just, we just know we're going to get penalties. We know we're going to turn the ball over. And, man, we know our defense is going to be in the wrong spot. And I don't know if that's mistrust. I don't know if it's just bad play call or if it's just the wrong personnel. Probably a mix of all those things. But, man, we need some discipline in our team. And so bad. And our linebackers, please stay home. Do your job. Don't over pursue. I see it, and we just take a bad angle, and then it's just over. It's a touchdown. If I see some trunk run plays early in this game, I know it's over.
Yeah, 100%. So that gets me worried. I mean, like that's exactly how Iowa was going for their 50-yard touchdowns last week. They were getting untouched for like 10 yards and then ripping off like massive plays. And so we have to, find a way to get some hands on those running backs early in the first few yards of those carries, or else they're going to take these things down the field. So let's get into our predictions here. Caleb, where you at with this game, man? feeling pretty good?
Oh, I'm feeling so good about it.
Yeah.
That Nebraska game last week was probably one of the top 5 most disappointing. If we had to do our worst video, our worst Husker games, that's on the list. We just got bulldozed. Just outworked, class and hustled, coached.
And for like where we were hoping we were going to go. Yeah, like after like a very hopeful game, a hopeful win from Penn State, it's just like popping every balloon in the room, the deflating of everything that we had in our lives. This is so sad. But 100%. So
all my worst nightmares about this Nebraska, just again, like you said, just every bad thing that Nebraska has done came out in the Illinois game. And if we can't get energy for Illinois, then we're just not going to win games. And there's no way we win this one.
You're not feeling it?
I want us to win, obviously.
Dude, it would be so big.
Can't we just win every game and Josh and I just talk about how good Nebraska is? You know how fun of a channel that'd be? If it's just, just high-five each other? Just, Wan'Dale's so great.
Popping confetti, just
Adrian's so great. Luke's so great. Xavier Betts is so great.
Yeah.
Farniak's so great. Just if we could just say everybody's name and all 22 of them and just give them all a gold star and a high five, and we pop champagne every week and say, ha ha, our team's better. That'd be amazing. But that's not where it is. And
Clemson.
Yeah, we're not Clemson or Alabama.
Okay,
yet
well then, what's your prediction? Sounds like you're really excited.
42-16. We're gonna get just woodshedded.
Goodness.
Yeah, Iowa loves this game. They love to play us every year. I mean, their passion to beat the crap out of us. It's honestly, it's admirable. The fan base loves it. They just get so excited for this game. And you know what? I wish we had passion as a football team.
Dang.
I wish our coaching staff could coach a little bit better to get us there. Because
why are we gonna get blown out?
They're disciplined. Like I said, they're just a disciplined football team. They're not going to do anything flashy, but it's going to become flashy. Those run plays are going to go for 4, 5, 6 yards in the first half. And just as we've seen them do, Mekhi started himself has just those 5-yard runs turn into 50-yard runs because one of those times our linebacker's not in the right spot, or they're tired because they're just getting beat down and bullied. And
how many rushing yards are they going to have?
Oh, it's 250 plus.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, that means there has to be a handful of turnovers on our end. I mean,
oh sure. I mean, 1 or 2.
How are you?
We're just not going to get
42 to 16. If we only put up 16 points, where are you at with like Scott Frost and where are you at with Luke McCaffrey for only putting up 16 points though?
I don't know. At this point, Luke McCaffrey looked a little hesitant too. And you know what? Adrian looked good and Luke looked good, and then they start getting coached by these coaches. This
is the theory. This is the.
I don't think at this point. I don't think it's the players. It's got to be the coaches. I think we're pointing at the wrong rung. I think the coach. Players are below the coaches. I'm worried. I'm worried. Caleb's hitting the panic button. I'm a little scared.
We'll talk more about this. We'll talk more about the coach's situation in the future, I'd imagine. But
can we just win? Can we just win out and I can just be happy? But I guess
in your book, we're having like probably 3 turnovers. Iowa's having none.
I mean, I don't think it has to be that many. Besides our first
Penn State handed them the ball, and Penn State still put up points.
Yeah, but they have their quarterbacks could get them the ball, and their running backs still look good at times. I don't know. They felt like the playbook was still open. Like their quarterback, who is leading the Big Ten in turnovers, they still decided to bring him out and chuck a 50-yard deep ball because they wanted to win the football game. And that's just the difference.
They had 4 turnovers in that game. They were handing him the ball.
And guess what? And they kept taking shots because they knew that they could fight, because their teammates, they believed that Franklin believed that they could fight and win back. And we're just not that way. We turn the ball over and we crumble. We get real scared, real conservative. We gotta keep it. And Penn State's just like, we're gonna keep taking shots. We're gonna try to win the game. And if that hurts us, it hurts us. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And, that's at least something. At least they tried.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm at it where I think we're probably going to lose. I would imagine nothing really points to us like bouncing back, and like the X factors all favor Iowa when it comes to their strengths, our weaknesses, and how we're gonna move the ball. I don't really know. I mean, if we're going to move the ball, it's going to come on the outside, but we're going to have 2 predictions. Caleb's going to give another prediction for what he thinks might actually happen if things go our way.
What I hope happens.
So my first prediction is I think we're going to lose 31-17. My actual prediction is 31-17. Iowa wins. I do think at the end of the day, we're just going to get outclassed up front, both sides of the ball, especially on defense, where Iowa's just going to move us around. They're going to convert. They could break the record for how many third downs they convert in one game. It could be like 40.
It's so painful at this point. Like 3rd and 11, like Illinois is just converting on us. 3rd and 11. Dude. And it's just like Peters, like you said, he's looking like Joe Flacco, just slinging the ball. You're like, what happened? Where did our defense go?
Like, that's what scares me. So I don't really know how we're going to stop the run unless this linebacking core has the game of their lives. And we're playing, what would have to happen is we're playing ISO on the outsides. Dicaprio, Cam, Taylor Britt, they play incredible games.
And they're good. Williams, like our stats for secondary, like we're in the middle. We're better than the middle of the pack.
Yeah, we're like in the top 30 in a lot of categories in those areas.
Our secondary is not bad at football.
No,
our front seven played an atrocious game.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the day, like if we can really trust those guys to play ISO, maybe give up 1 or 2 big plays downfield, but sacrifice that to keep the running game in check. That's how we could win the game And then if our offense is attacking the outside, Wan'Dale's getting those sweeps, Xavier Betts is getting those sweeps, Alante Brown's getting those sweeps.
We've only ran one jet sweep this year, Josh.
And it went for a touchdown. Well, we ran only one with a fast player.
Yeah.
Not with Cade Warner. I'm sorry, Cade. But at the end of the day, we are growing mustaches for this game. I don't know if you saw that.
Heck yeah.
So we got the mustache game going. But overall, I mean, we have to attack the outside. We have to throw the ball downfield like we talked about. And if Luke can hit Wan'Dale, hit Xavier, hit Alante, maybe Omar Manning plays. Frost said that Frost and Lubick just said we're trying to get him healthy. That's kind of the X factor for Omar right now. It doesn't seem like he's going to play, but maybe he does. And that would be big for us. We need playmakers on the outside. We need McCaffrey to trust those guys on the outside to make plays. And hopefully they've developed a little bit of chemistry more than last week than they did this week.
Yes.
And we can make something happen. So what my prediction for us, if we're going to win this game, would be 27-24. I could see an argument where you'd have to say it'd be like a blowout, like a we're throwing the ball a lot, they're running the ball a lot, and it's like a mid-30s type game. But I'm going to go 27-24 as like our miracle prediction that we win.
Yeah, Caleb, I think it's right in that 28 sweet spot. I don't know if you can really, if we're going to score over 30 against Iowa. That's pretty tough to predict. I don't think we haven't done it in the last 3 years. So, I think 28 is kind of that magic number for us. And can our defense stop the run, which has been our weak spot? If this was a passing team, which Penn State was, it really worked in our favor. Our defense, that was our defensive strength. And, and they were good and they threw picks, and we were really good at taking that from them. And we ate that up. But, here
gets us nervous.
It gets us nervous with they're just going to just ground and pound. And they're just.
Yeah. So wait, what's your actual prediction if Nebraska wins this?
I think it'd be like a 28, 21 type deal where we win.
Oh, wow. Where our defense actually starts checking in a little bit here.
And again, they can make turnovers. And, I think that's a place where we look against Penn State where we didn't turn the ball over, but we did take we take more shots than we did on Penn State, but we have less turnovers. Yeah. And if we have we have to have 0 turnovers, I think, in that game. And then our defense has to create one. At least one. So
if we're not winning the turnover battle, we are not winning this game. There's
which I don't think we will. I just don't think our team is there yet. So
like Iowa could win the game with losing the turnover battle. It could be 2-1 and they could still easily win the game. But I don't think there's a world where we lose this thing 2-1 and we win the game like that.
Unless it's on the goal line, though, that's demoralizing too.
Yeah, it gets us worried, guys. So Husker Nation, we want to hear your comments down below. Obviously, there's a lot of options, a lot of ways that this could go. We ended up going on for quite a while on this, unedited. So shout out. We had almost a 40-minute video here of just going. But I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. This could have been a podcast. Just upload this to Apple Podcasts and Spotify at this point. But drop all your comments down below. And we want to hear what you guys have to say. Hopefully, Nebraska can pull this out, man. This would be a massive win, and we'll be throwing a party. We'll be throwing a party next week if we can pull this one off. But the cards are not in our favor, to say the least. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know. Let's just be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Can we just be egregiously wrong? We blow out Iowa, and I can
yes, please.
What were we thinking? That'd be amazing.
We'll be popping champagne next week. But boom. I hope. But overall, I'm Josh. That's Caleb. And guys, this has been Back to Sports, and we will see you next time. Woo! We out.